Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Committee on Public Services. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll as soon as your screen is on? Okay.
Each member is acknowledging they are attending the meeting via Zoom, that they are located in Wayne County, Michigan, unless otherwise stated when I call your name. Commissioner Varga.
Here.
Commissioner Palomera.
Here.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Present.
Commissioner Haddis.
Present.
Commissioner Baydoun.
Here.
Commissioner Dobb.
Here.
Chair Marecki.
Here.
You have a
Thank
quorum
you.
present.
Thank you. Next item.
Chairwoman's remarks.
The only remarks I have is thank you, Commissioner Palomera, for taking over a couple weeks ago in this meeting. I appreciate it. Next item.
C, approval of the July 13th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Move approval, Madam Chair, with any necessary corrections. Commissioner Kinlock.
Okay, we have an approval by Commissioner Kinlock, supported by, I believe, Commissioner Dobb. Any questions?
Oh, no, that was Varga, I believe.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Any questions on the minutes or any comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving the July 13th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Okay,
Item 1, under new business, communication from Beverly Watts, Director, Department of Public Services, reporting the completion status of parks and the CIP plan.
okay, I actually think this is the CIP plan for the roads. So I'm sure you all saw that. Are there any questions on this?
Move for receive and file.
Yep.
Support.
Okay, we have a move to receive and file. Any questions before we vote on this? Okay, all those in favor of the CIP for the roads, say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
Item 2, communication from the Department of Public Services, reporting the current vehicle assignment report, including the vehicle type, age of vehicle, location, status, and brass tag number for all Wayne County vehicles.
Okay. You all have that in your packet. Any questions on this?
Move to receive and file.
Okay.
Support.
All right. We have a move to receive and file by Dobb, supported by Haddis. All those in favor of receiving and filing this report, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Next item.
Item 3, forwarding notification of an emergency procurement report for modification 1 to a 3-year contract with 1 2-year option to renew with do-all cleaning.
Okay. This is another emergency procurement. Is there someone from the department? This is a low cost item, but is there someone from the department that can explain why, since we had a contract with this was an emergency procurement?
Yes, Commissioner, this is Director Jones from the Buildings Department.
Thank you.
This document was actually submitted based on the pandemic, and it was emergency deep cleaning, which was not in the scope of the normal contract, and it was added to at that point. And as far as basically was as an emergency, and as you know, we started a lot of deep cleaning and emergency cleaning for the COVID-19 virus at different locations. And we had to have, since we did have a contract with Duval Cleaning, it was not in that scope, and we had to add that later, which we're in the process now of doing a different modification, which would be probably modification 3 now, prior to this from that point. So that was the reason for that at that time.
Okay, so that'll be added into the contract now for the future.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, by the way. Any questions?
Move for approval, Madam the Chair.
Okay.
Support
This is
Kinlock.
a receive and file item.
Oh, yeah, this is receive and file because it's an emergency procurement. Yes. Is that okay, Commissioner Haddis?
Yes.
Okay.
Support
Commissioner Kinlock.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I have one clarification kind of on top of your question. So the original contract was an emergency for the deep cleaning, but this is a modification to that original contract.
Yes, ma'am.
So why is the modification an emergency?
Well, the modification, I mean, well, it was an emergency prior to, because as I indicated, we didn't have anything listed in the contract and we needed that to actually happen. The HAB is where Duval does the cleaning. And that was the process of necessarily the health and clinic area that we needed to necessarily expedite that right away at that point. And that's where we came up with the design in order to get this activated, excuse me, right away. And that's where the process, when we probably should have started with the modification at that point, but the time was of the essence at the time.
Okay. All right.
so,
Thank you.
but are you saying, Mr. Jones, that we had this contract before for cleaning, but this new
That is-
set of COVID type?
That is correct.
Okay, so we had the contract before COVID, as far as COVID-related activities.
That is correct.
Okay, does
And
that
this
answer your
probably-
question, Commissioner Rob?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I could see the original contract being an emergency, but once we got that one, any modifications, I just don't understand why those are emergencies after that, but.
Yeah,
Commissioner Dobb,
The chair-
Commissioner Marecki, could I
sorry.
interject?
Yes,
sure.
please.
Chris Albrecht, Policy Analyst for the Wayne County Commission. The Buildings Division requested approval actually for the original contract back near the end of 2018. And that was approved via resolution. I'm just pulling it up, 2018-120 on the 22nd day of February 2018. So this contract was just an original contract for custodial services for the Health Administration Building and the Taylor Health Clinic. So this item here is an emergency procurement that became a mod to this original contract, and this emergency procurement is for these deep cleaning COVID-19 related services. So the commission did approve the original contract as a contract. The original item was not an emergency procurement.
Okay. Okay, so the modification was for like COVID cleaning, and that was an emergency that needed to be an emergency procurement.
Correct.
Okay. That makes more sense to me.
Okay. You're all good then?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I see Commission Counsel has her hand up.
Oh, you do? Okay,
for comment.
sure, go ahead.
Through the chair, I was actually going to just interject right before Chris, just to advise the committee that we met with the department regarding this and got some clarification on how things should be processed moving forward. You know, understanding that at the time of COVID, people were trying to get things done. And so there were some adjustments that we asked them to make to try to make it more in line, and they did that. But I just wanted to let you know that, you know, the department has been very interactive with commission staff with regards to moving forward and making sure everything is together. So some of the concerns that you're expressing, Commissioner, shouldn't occur. I can't say won't, but shouldn't occur in the future, just based on our discussions and understanding now with the department.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Felicia.
Thank you for your input.
Okay, any other questions on this? Okay, this is a receive and file. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you, everyone. Next item.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Lincoln Park.
Okay,
approval.
okay,
Support.
all right. Okay, this is just for the park improvements in Lincoln Park, and Commissioner Varga has moved approval, and Pick your choice, Madam Clerk, on who. I think it was a tie for the support.
Baydun.
Baydun, okay. Any questions on this? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hadis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 5, requesting commissioner approval of Amendment 1 to a contract with Cadillac Asphalt.
Okay, and this is actually just we actually approved this on February 4th, 2021, and they're sending this back to correct the term that was listed prior in the resolution. It was incorrect. Is that right, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
Correct?
Move approval.
Okay,
Support.
all right, we have a approval and a support. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hadis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 6, requesting commissioner approval of modification 2 to an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Gibraltar.
Okay, for Horse Island Park.
Move approval.
Okay,
Support.
Commissioner, okay. All right, approval by Commissioner Vargas, supported by Commissioner Hadis. Any questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
See,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hadis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 7, requesting commissioner approval of Amendment 1 to a cooperative agreement with Truck and Trailer Specialties.
Okay, this is an My Deal item.
Move
For,
approval.
okay,
Support Kinlock.
okay. And anyone from DPS that just can give us a real quick overview on this?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Derek Coley, Equipment
Morning.
Division Director.
Morning, thank you.
Yes, we are continuing our plan to meet our replacement cycle of 10 years for our dump truck fleet. We talked about that previously with this body. The chassis, which is the cab and the frame, those are by Freightliner. That's a separate contract. This contract is for the upfit or the dump body that's built on top of the chassis. It includes the hydraulics and the liquid systems and salt spreaders and everything else. And unlike one prior purchase, this is a multi-purpose design. It does allow for year-round use. We convert them in spring to haul dirt and gravel. In the fall, we convert them to become the full salt spreader and plow trucks during snow and ice season. I guess it's important to note that the build time on these is anywhere between 12 and 18 months. So we will hope to receive these trucks before winter of 2022. And that's barring any kind of supply chain issues. We've heard about chips and steel and other problems that might come from the manufacturer, but we hope to have these in our fleet by next winter.
Okay, great. It's great that they're so versatile too. Any questions on this from commissioners? Okay, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Support.
It's already approved, I thought, but okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
did we
yeah.
already?
We did. We had Dobb and Kinlock.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh.
have that written down. Oh, okay. All right, any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hadis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chairman Markey.
Yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 8, requesting commission approval of a cooperative agreement with the 1-year option to renew with Kirk's Automotive.
Move approval.
Support.
All right. I just have one quick question. Could you, I guess it would be maybe Derek again, just refresh our memories on the Sourcewell contract?
Yes, Madam Chair. Sourcewell is a nationwide cooperative purchase group, similar to My Deal, but they reach more states. They're not just state like My Deal and some of the others that are regional. Sourcewell is nationwide. So NAPA is our current provider of aftermarket parts. Kirk's Automotive is the awardee currently, and they have been very responsive. Whenever we have billing problems, they resolve them right away. We do have an assigned sales rep from them who we see once a week. Yes, at this point, we're very pleased, and this is for aftermarket parts. We do have others for original equipment where we go directly to that manufacturer.
Okay, great. And I think the commission approved that Sourcewell would be one of the groups we could go to, right? I believe.
Yes, yes, we've had several purchases through Sourcewell. This body might remember National Joint Powers Alliance. They changed their name a couple of years ago to Sourcewell.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions from commissioners? All right, we have an approval by Commissioner Vargas, supported by Commissioner Baydoun. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomero,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun, Commissioner Baydoun,
Is he still?
says he's still on. Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chairman Markey.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item.
Item 9, requesting commission approval of a construction contract with EC Corneffel.
Okay. Is Ms. Bradford on? Maybe just to explain this real quick. This is a federal grant.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I have my mask on. And actually, I don't know if my colleagues are on from environmental. I see Noel is there because this is a partnership grant for the improvements at Lincoln Lake with some additional amenities that Parks will be implementing during this project. And I see Noel is on, so Noel may have more additional information to add.
Okay.
Thank you, Noel.
Yes, this is a project through the EPA, the habitat restoration at Lincoln Lake. It's one of the 3 projects that are under the one of the grants we've got from EPA for the Rouge River AOC restoration efforts. It's the 3rd one with the Fishway in Dearborn and the Rouge Oxbow also in Dearborn. We'll be working on the lake. Approximately 35,000 cubic yards of sediment will be removed to improve the habitat, fish habitat, and the other aquatic organism habitat throughout the lake. They'll be installing various types of fish habitat structures and substrates, both deep water and shallow water. There'll be invasive species control around the lake and within the lake. So I don't know if you're familiar with the lake but it's basically been filling in. It's nearly kind of a wetland at the western end now rather than a lake. So we'll be working to try to restore that. We will be restoring that. And then as Director Bradford mentioned, there's also going to be parking lot improvements and subsequent habitat around those parking lot improvements as well.
Noel, once this is done, how many years does this last before it has to be done again? Something this extensive?
Years. I mean, I can't quite even really tell you when it was originally dredged out or dredged out again. So it should last for years. Hopefully with other corrective actions that have been occurring through the stormwater permits and the sedimentation control programs, the volume of sediment that is getting deposited into Nankin Lake, is reduced or will be reduced over time. So it is a project that won't last forever, but it will, of course, buy us quite a few more years in terms of improved recreational fishery within Nankin Lake.
Great. This is a big contract. I'm glad we got all this money. Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
Move for approval.
Okay.
Support.
All right.
Madam Chair, I just
yes,
have
go ahead.
One quick question.
Sure.
For Noel, when you said removal of invasive species, is that plants and animals, like invasive fish, or?
No, it's primarily plants. Yeah,
Just
it's mostly around the perimeter of the lake.
All right. Are there any invasive fish in the lake?
There are, but it's pervasive through the system.
Oh, okay, right. So if you remove them from the lake, it's not going to matter because they're just going to come from other areas. Okay.
Right. So basically, the intent of the habitat, I mean, it is focused on creating habitats for native fisheries, native fish. So, the intent is to, kind of give them, the natives, a competitive advantage by improving the habitat, to conditions that's more conducive to them rather than the more shallow species invasives. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chairman Recchi.
Yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 10, requesting commission approval of proposed 2021 through 2022 sewage disposal system monthly fixed rates for the Rouge Valley Sewage Disposal System.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone from the administration that would like to introduce this first?
Good morning, commissioners. This is Patrick Cullen, Environmental Services Division Director. Is Moina Moore with us this morning?
Good morning, Patrick. Thank you. Yes, I am. Madam Chair, good morning. So what you have before you is a request for approval for an increase of approximately 0.63%. That would cover operations and maintenance for the sewer system, as well as debt payments that would occur during the budget year for Rouge Valley, which actually runs July 1st through June 30th of next year.
Okay.
That's primarily driven by a 1% increase from the Great Lakes Water Authority, and then some offsetting decreases in some of our other operating expenses annually.
Okay. All right. I appreciate all the information we got in our packets on this. So are the local communities then actually notified of something like this, or it just kind of appears on their documents?
So we do hold, when we prepare the rate package, we do hold a meeting with all the communities, all are invited, all interested parties. And we have discussions. If there are any follow-up items, we address those. And then when all minds are on one accord, we go ahead and issue that out officially for this body's approval for ultimate adoption.
So you've already had the meetings with the communities?
Correct. Yes, we have already had those meetings.
And were they well attended?
Fairly well. I would say if I had to just guess at a percentage, we probably had about 75% participation.
Okay.
But again, the invitation was extended to all.
Okay. And do we do this every year? It doesn't seem like we did this last year, but is it every year we look at these fees and then decide if we're going to have an increase?
Yes. Well, it typically occurs every year. Last year was my first year, and we did have the same process last year. And I believe the year prior as well. There may have been a couple of years that preceded that where it may have been a slightly different process. But for including this year, 2 to 3 fiscal years for the Rouge Valley sewage disposal system, this has been the process.
Okay. And this is the only one Wayne County runs, right? Rouge Valley?
As far as a sewage disposal system, I'd say yes, we have some CSO basins and then some Chapter 8 drains. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any questions? Thank you for the information. Appreciate it. And I thank you for everyone that worked on the packet for this, because we did get quite a bit of information. Any questions from commissioners? All right.
Did we have a motion on this?
No, we don't. No.
Move for approval.
I'll support.
All right. We have an approval with support. Okay, if there aren't any questions, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 11, requesting commission approval of amendments to the Wayne County Stormwater Management Ordinance and Administrative Rules.
Okay, I am going to first go to Director Watts to start this off.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to come here. Patrick Cullen and others have been working so hard on the revisions to our stormwater ordinance. We're going to give you a short PowerPoint presentation because I know in the interest of time, we will make sure it's brief, but it's very timely that we make sure that we highlight some of the key points of the recommendations that we're making to our stormwater ordinance. Patrick and others, along with other counties, that's what we're excited about this endeavor. We have a lot of regional cooperation with other counties as well. This process and this working group actually has been going on a few years, so much so that some communities probably forgot that we were going through this process to make recommendations to our ordinance. So at this time, Patrick, if you have the PowerPoint ready to share the screen, and you could go through the presentation and do a little highlights of what we're recommending to our stormwater ordinance.
Thank you, Director Watts. With permission of the chair, I'd like to be able to share my screen right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. There she
And
goes.
can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
All right, great. So good morning, everyone. Again, Patrick Cullen, Environmental Services Division Director. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am to talk about this with you today. And I know you don't have a lot of time. I literally could spend the rest of the day talking about this. This program has been a long time coming, and we're really excited that we've finally gotten it to this place where we can bring it to you for your review and approval. So just real briefly, we're going to provide some background information on why we're proposing these new standards. We're going to give you a broad overview of what they are and let you know about the community outreach and feedback efforts that went into this. There has been a significant amount of community input and stakeholder involvement on this process. But first of all, I have to give a big shout out to our internal stormwater team. This is a group that's been working literally for nearly 3 years on this effort. And it consists of folks from Environmental Services Division, from Engineering Division, DPS Administration, Wayne County Corporation Council have been, critical partners in this. And our engineer consultant OHM worked very closely with us on this too. And Chair Marecki, I do want to give a shout out to commission staff as well, to Felicia and her group and commission staff. We met with them a couple of months ago about this, and they had excellent feedback, excellent questions on the proposed ordinance and rules, and really, helped us fine tune, what we're presenting to you today for review. So thank you to commission staff too. We consider you partners in this effort as well. We did not do this in a bubble. We did not just sit in a closed lock room and say, hey, let's cook up some new standards and let's just make them up on our own to whatever we think is going to look good and be right for Wayne County. We've been participating for more than 2 years on a regional group of stormwater experts that consists of Oakland County, Macomb County, Livingston, and Wayne County. And the key about this is all of the counties, we're hearing concerns from developers, from designers, from communities. Why is it so different when I have to do stormwater design or get a stormwater permit in Oakland County than it is when I go to Wayne County, or if I go to Macomb County, or if I'm in Livingston County? These were questions that we heard all the time here in Wayne County, but the other counties were hearing it as well. And so as all of us were working on our state permit together, we all have to have a permit to discharge stormwater, and with Eagle, we decided, let's get together and try to standardize what these rules and ordinances look like to make it easier on designers and make it easier on local communities, so that there aren't huge differences between jurisdictions. So why are we doing this? I think over this last month, it probably gives us one of the biggest reasons, at least in Wayne County, of why we're proposing new standards. We have been working with the state and on our NPDES permit, which was issued last year. And as part of that permit, there was a requirement to update our stormwater standards. So that's the primary reason. But an even overriding reason for that too is that picture on the top, which all of you are very familiar with right now. Whenever we have had very significant storm events in Wayne County, we get excessive flooding. And the stormwater input that comes from new development projects isn't the only reason, why we see street flooding and flooding in some of our facilities, but it is a contributing reason to why we see flooding. There are some on our team who wanted to call this the Wayne County Flood Control Ordinance just because of its importance, to our overall effort of trying to get our handle on the volume of stormwater flow that's going through our systems and creating issues when we have these huge storm events. So flood control is a big reason why we're proposing new standards. Also, the associated prevention of property damage that comes with flooding that occurs. A big part of this is to protect Wayne County's critical infrastructure. These standards apply to any developments that are discharging stormwater into Wayne County assets, such as county drains, park properties, county road storm sewer systems, anything that passes through an asset that we maintain and manage has to follow this set of rules and standards. Another big reason for the new standards, and this is the one that's very critical to the state and our permit, is for the improvement of water quality. The ability to capture suspended solids from new construction projects is very critical to water quality control. And so that's an element of this as well. And also, because we've worked with our regional partners in Southeast Michigan, it's given us an opportunity to provide consistent rules across the region. And we've really focused very hard on trying to create a balance between economic development and environmental goals. It's this age-old balance between how much it costs to comply versus being able to support and encourage economic development, not just in Wayne County, really throughout the region. And so some of the, concerns that you hear from folks who are redeveloping old properties, developing brand new properties on green spaces, are the costs that are associated with complying with some of these standards. That's why it's so important that we have consistent standards across the region, so that these costs are the costs associated with complying are consistent as well. So where do they apply? Our focus here in Wayne County is on new or redevelopment projects that result in a land disturbance of 1 acre or more. Our current standards, we have standards. We've had standards in place in Wayne County since for 21 years, since 2000. Our current standards apply to any sort of redevelopment project. So our new standards are a little bit more amenable to smaller mom and pop developments, to smaller developments that don't have a huge land disturbance associated with it. So it's 1 acre or more, or any development that creates or replaces a ½ acre more of impervious surface. So the picture that I have here for you is a picture you probably have seen in your own communities, an abandoned big box store that was developed probably sometime during the 1970s. And a lot of people look at this photo and they say, oh, this is really bad for economic development in my community. I can't wait to be able to redevelop the site. Our stormwater team looks at this picture and we say, oh my God, look at all the impervious surface on that parking lot. Now, any development before 2000 in Wayne County, and really in Southeast Michigan, never had stormwater standards, to comply with. And so you end up with a lot of sites that look like this, that have a lot of impervious surface. When you get a big storm, it was designed to move water as quickly as it can through our stormwater system into our local streams and rivers with little or no volume control. And we've all seen over the last month what the cumulative result of that can be when we have so little controls over some of the development projects. In Wayne County, we have a huge opportunity when we redevelop sites like this, because now we're going to be able to retrofit these sites to provide more detention, to provide more infiltration on site, to reduce the peak flows and volumes that are coming off the site. And over time, what we're really hoping, as we redevelop old sites in Wayne County, we're going to see these improvements incrementally when it comes to the volume of water that's going to end up in our rivers, lakes, and streams. Very briefly, the rules cover flood control for stormwater detention, controls for drainage and stream channel protection, that's extended detention and infiltration, controls, as I mentioned before, for total suspended solids, and an important one also is long-term operation and maintenance. When we build these structures, when we build these stormwater detention ponds, when we build these green infrastructures, they have to be maintained over time. And so we have elements in our rules and our ordinance that provide for the long-term operation and maintenance of these facilities and structures. What sort of impacts should we see after these standards are adopted? We should begin seeing significant reduction in peak flow rates. And I mentioned that before in the Toys R Us example. As we redevelop properties, you're going to see less runoff from sites as we move forward. It's also going to result in increased stream stability, reduced bank erosion. We're going to improve water quality through the on-site stormwater management utilizing green infrastructure. We're going to have a consistent design method for all sites throughout the region. They've simplified the formulas to figure out how much water you have to detain, so that's a little bit easier on the designers and review agencies. And it's going to provide for long-term operation and maintenance, as I mentioned before. This isn't all happy, joy. I'm not going to lie to you. These standards are more stringent than what are in existence today. And why is that? We're seeing an increase in rainfall intensity. Our current standards, when you design for a site for a 100-year flood, for example, in the last decade, we're seeing 20 to 25% more volume of water in that type of storm than we have previously. Climate change is a real thing, and we're seeing real impacts of it on the ground today. And so we have to adjust as best that we can to the climate that we're living in these days. So that means these new rules are going to require a little bit more detention than our old rules did. And a little bit more detention is generally going to be a little bit of a higher cost for certain sites. It's not going to be true for all sites, but certain sites will have to spend a little bit more time and space when it comes to detention. We're going to require infiltration if the soils allow it. Infiltration means not necessarily detention, but areas where the water can seep into the ground. This is a requirement of our Eagle permit. I've highlighted in bold the enforcement of long-term operation and maintenance. This is an obligation that will be on the permit holders. Wayne County and our local communities are going to work together to improve education and inspection and enforcement and maintenance efforts moving forward. We know that there's concern from our local communities over this particular issue. We are setting up a program, internally. We're in the beginning phases of that, to start looking at some of our older systems that have been installed to see what kind of condition they're in, and to work with our local communities about how these things are going to be maintained. In general, O&M, in fact, the ordinance and rule state operation and maintenance moving forward is going to be the responsibility of the landowners. And also the long-term O&M is going to be recorded with the Register of Deeds. That means the operation and maintenance of these structures after they're built is going to carry on over to new owners as property ownership changes. So I want to let you know that, and I mentioned at the top, we've had a lot of community outreach in this effort. There were stormwater summits that were held back in May and November of 2019. And the reason I said, up front, I was so excited to talk to all of you today is because we really thought we were going to have these standards adopted a year ago. We sent the first draft standards, were developed in late 19, early 2020. And when the pandemic hit, the plug got pulled on all of this. And so it really put us in a big delay. And that's why we're here, a year later on an issue we thought we were going to be in front of you a year ago. So we did work on it last summer. We got the draft standards out to all of our stakeholders. That's all of our local communities, their engineering consultants, design firms. We had a stakeholder feedback meeting in October of last year where we had more than 170 participants. We received a lot of questions and feedbacks from our local communities, and we sent them out a Q&A response document to that towards the end of the year last year. And so since that time, we've been fine-tuning what the rules and ordinance say. And that's what we have in front of you today. And so I tried to move through this quickly for you, Commissioner Marecki. I know there's a lot here. Happy to take any questions that you have. And I think most of our stormwater team is here too to help.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, just like Patrick said, we're ready to have any questions. And I know in the interest of time, you can reach us at a later date. We're happy to provide this presentation to everyone. We'll make sure Andy has it and he can forward it to all of the commissioners. And then again, like Patrick said, we're very excited about the revisions to this stormwater ordinance for all of our residents, our stakeholders, and potential visitors and economic development individuals to come. So with that concludes what we have, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I know we really appreciate that. And thanks for sending that to Andy to send it out to all the commissioners, because there's going to be some of them that aren't on this committee meeting. I just have a couple questions, and then I'll open it up to the other commissioners. So this long-term O&M permit, is this going to be for everyone, or are the prior business owners are grandfathered in? This is for new development going forward, or everyone that has property that's, has these stormwater, whatever you call it, infrastructure. Yeah, the permits and the infrastructure. Will this now take charge for everyone, or is this just people that are developing from here on out after these are adopted?
So there are actually provisions for long-term operation and maintenance in our current ordinance. They are strengthened in this new ordinance. The big key to that is are basically two things, and I'll invite my team members to, correct me if I'm misstating this, but one is making sure that the O&M agreement or permit is recorded with the Register of Deeds, so it carries through property owners. And secondly, it's the partnership with our local communities to ensure the enforcement of what the maintenance permit is. So not only will a stormwater permit be issued, but this happens today too, a maintenance of the structure, there's a separate permit called a maintenance permit that gets issued as well. And a lot of times it ends up with a homeowners association, for example. And there's been spotty record over time, frankly, over the last 20 years of this ordinance being in place about how different landowners have maintained their stormwater structures. And we've seen lack of maintenance be an issue towards, in many cases, contributing to flooding and contributing to water quality problems as a result of these structures. So I think there's a recognition from us and from the state in our permit that we needed to really tighten down on the enforcement of the maintenance permit specifically. And so moving forward, there's going to be just a little bit tighter controls than there are presently.
Okay. These are changes for Wayne County, but how about for Macomb and Oakland County? Did they have big changes as you all came together to try to standardize this? Yes.
So one of the interesting things about this is, and our economic development team, was very interested and involved in the development of this as well, is everyone's standards across the region are getting tighter, are getting more stringent. Our standards are getting less tighter than Oakland, Macomb, and Livingston, especially. We didn't have to move as far in our stormwater standards as the other counties did. Macomb County just recently enacted their standards, I think earlier this spring. Oakland County is very close to passing theirs as well. Livingston's a few months down the road. I don't mention Washtenaw County because Washtenaw is like a completely different beast. They have very different and very strict standards on stormwater in Washtenaw County. But everyone's are getting a little bit harder. Ours are getting less harder than our neighbors. That's the easiest way I could put it.
Okay. All right. One more question. Who's the contact person at OHM that you've been working with?
Greg Kavinsky.
Okay. All right.
And I'd be happy to share his contact info if you need that.
Oh, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. We have some commissioners, hands up. Commissioner Dodd, Commissioner Baydoun, and iPad, if that's a commissioner.
Commissioner Harris too.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Commissioner Dodd, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is about stormwater drains that are in front of residential areas, like open ditches. So I've seen a couple areas in my district where they've been filled in. I know in one example was that the homeowners just didn't like how they looked, so they filled them in. And is there any mechanism for the county to inspect those on a regular basis to see if any of those drains have been filled in, and to either clear them out or to, let the homeowners know that they need to take care of that and get them reopened?
So I can reply to that, Commissioner Dobb, and I know in your district, you're dealing primarily with township, residential areas. Generally speaking, those drainage districts that are in front of township homes are most likely, not always, but most likely road drains, open ditch road drains, or sometimes enclosed road ditch drains that would be under Wayne County jurisdiction. If there are ever any issues regarding, homeowners that are plugging those up or blocking them in some way, certainly encourage, 1888 road crew. It's there for everything, including, residents who might go in and illicitly fill in ditch. We've seen that before. We've seen individual landowners work on county assets, without permission. And we will absolutely go in and inspect that and enforce as we need to.
Okay, so that wouldn't go under this ordinance?
Generally
Because of the road
speaking,
drain?
no. Yeah, if you're building a new subdivision, it's going to apply to the amount and volume of detention, and generally the detention ponds in areas. Most developments, and others can pipe in if I'm misstating this, most developments, in the townships, the roads are going to fall under county jurisdiction for roads. Sometime they're private though, and will be under the jurisdiction of the either the condo association or the homeowners association in the subdivision.
Okay. And then my other question, and it's kind of related to this, is if if a homeowner, if their property has like a creek along the edge of their property, and they put like a bridge, or they've been mowing up to the edge of it and they've got erosion, is there any sort of do they need to follow this ordinance?
So that would not necessarily follow this stormwater ordinance. However, if someone is putting a bridge over a county drain, for example, that would be considered an obstruction, and we could issue a notice to that owner ordering them to remove it. If someone is working within the easement, either of the county road or the drain, that's something we would absolutely want to look at as well and follow up as necessary.
Okay. My last comment would be, I know that our commission council has some questions and comments on the changes to the ordinance. So, Madam Chair, I don't know if you want to wait until we go through the rest of commissioners' questions to turn.
No, it would be okay. It'd be okay to include Felicia right now.
Okay. I don't know if she heard me. Commission council.
Yeah, through the chair, Commissioner, I don't know if you have any specific questions. I will.
It's actually 12 for Ways and Means,
Oh,
12:15.
Commissioner Varga, I think you've got some background noise.
You have time.
Commissioner Varga, can you go on mute? Thank you. Commission council, I just going through your analysis on the ordinance, the changes. I know there was a lot of there's a lot of stuff. So I don't know if there's just something that you felt was important to bring up, or anything that you just want to highlight today.
Okay, so I will say that our office, specifically one of our newer attorneys, Mary Parisian, spent a lot of time going through this ordinance and trying to understand its various provisions. The ordinance and the associated rules are very technical. Obviously, commission staff did not have the privilege of being included in knowing some of the discussions that have taken place regionally. But looking at the ordinance, there were some concerns. Many of them, when we met with the department, were clarified or revisions were made to address those concerns. There were a few other items regarding fees and language related to the fees that I don't know that we fully, I'm not going to say fully addressed. The Corporation Council did look at the associated law, and they determined that certain amendments to the ordinance wasn't necessary. But I will say that, if you look at our analysis, we have a bullet specifically talking about language that states something to the effect of, with regards to fees, it says something like without limitation. Well, we know that there is a limit within law, especially when with regards to the cost that the county can charge, because we can't make a profit, right? So we have to charge for the cost of the services. So even though that language is in there, it's our understanding that they understand what the law is, and essentially based on the way it is actually implemented, this may not be a concern. Just like our first bullet regarding attorney fees. If it's implemented appropriately, and then enforced appropriately with regards to fees and fines, and these items will not be of concern. The Corporation Counsel has assured us that these things will not be problematic moving forward. So we'll just have to trust that, you know, the department is fully aware of how this will be implemented, and they'll work with Corporation Counsel to that extent. Other provisions I won't mention. I mean, there was some language we thought could be clarified that wasn't, but they were not fatal flaws or anything that would probably couldn't necessarily need to take up time here addressing. And those really were it. Like I said, there was a lot of discussion and going back and forth, as you can see from all the questions and answers, and many things were clarified when we met with the department and they gave us their presentation. I'll also state, just because I know that time is, we have 3 minutes left, that because this is an ordinance, it requires 2 readings before full board. So even though this will be forwarded to full board for first reading, it cannot be approved at the next meeting. So if you can't finish your discussion, Madam Chair, here, it can always come back, and that will not delay the time period for approval, because it can't be approved until after second reading, which can occur until the second time it hits the full board. Just for your information.
No, I appreciate that, because it looks like it's going to be August 19th that the second reading will take place. So there'll be plenty of time between now and that for, you know, investigation by commissioners or whatever. So I appreciate that. Commissioner Dobb, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, that was all I had. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam the Chair.
Okay. Yes.
You know, this issue have lots of discussion and very important to me in my district, and Mrs. Watt and Elmika Steele know that I would like, because the lack of time availability, I would like to have this discussion continue and special meeting or next meeting to be able to get all the question answered. You know, rushing it without getting all the answer to those questions, to issue that need to be dealt with. And I'm glad it's on the table now with good leadership from the DPS. So, but if we could stop now and continue the discussion, not finish with it today.
Yeah, I agree. Felicia, so are you saying that we could continue to discuss this at the, how would this work?
So I would recommend that this body move it forward for first reading and at commission, and then the motion at the full board meeting next week would be to refer it back to committee. And then it'll come back to your committee, I believe on the 10th, for further discussion. And if the committee is satisfied at that point, you can move it forward to full board for final approval.
Okay, so it wouldn't hold up the timeline if we did that.
Correct.
Okay, because I know
move for
Eagle.
first reading, please.
Support.
Okay, Eagle is anxious to get this. I guess they've been on the back. So, okay, so let's do that. Commissioner Baydoun, I don't want to, you had your hand up.
No, in the interest of time, you know, this is going to require more time. I agree with Commissioner Haydou, so I'll hold my questions till the next time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, this probably should have been done at another time, but thank you all for that. So the motion, Commissioner Varga.
Second Kinlock.
Second Kinlock. So this is to move it forward for first reading. Is that correct, Counselor?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions before we vote on this?
And then I guess when we act at the commission, we will be reminded that to refer it back to committee.
Yes, correct. Correct. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll on this?
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomero,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Marecki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Item 12, requesting commission approval of a cooperative agreement with WCI Contractors.
Okay.
Move approval.
Okay.
Support.
All right, we have an approval and support. Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
Item 13, requesting commission approval of a cooperative agreement with Southeastern
Move
Equipment
approval.
Company.
Okay, an approval.
Support.
Support. Any questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Varga,
Yes.
Commissioner Palomera,
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hattis,
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb,
Yes.
Chair Mareki.
Yes, motion passes. Next item.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Okay. Yes,
Commissioner, this is Ron Agasinski from the Engineering Division.
yes.
Through the Commission Clerk Pamela Lane and Michelle Yancey have been requested to bring up 4 MDOT contracts that did not make today's agenda and requesting to bring it up for new business as immediate consideration. 4 MDOT contracts.
For immediate consideration on full board.
Correct.
Okay. Felicia,
Yes, Chairwoman.
do these need to be each discussed?
I don't know how much, yes, if you want him to tell you the roads or projects in general, if you have time, he can do that. And then the request will be made through the chairwoman to put them on the full board agenda.
Okay, Ron, can you do this like in 2 minutes?
Yes.
Sorry, the Ways and Means budget is like knocking on our back door here, so,
Yes,
okay, all right, go ahead.
One is replacement of Middle Belt Bridge over Bell Creek in Livonia.
Okay,
Second one is resurfacing of Haggerty Road from 994 Freeway to Tyler Road in Van Buren Township. The third is resurfacing of Southfield Road from River Road to Jefferson in Ecorse. And the fourth is resurfacing of Warren Road from Otter Drive to Hayden in Detroit and Dearborn Heights.
okay, and we'll be getting information on that then, before the full board. Any questions from commissioners on any of those items, those MDOT items?
You need a motion to accept those to the immediate.
No, this will go to Chair Bell and she will approve it to go on to full board as immediate consideration.
Excellent.
Okay, no questions then?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next item.
With comments.
Okay, could you unmute everybody? And okay, and are there any comments or any comments from the public on Zoom or on the phone? You get 2 minutes to address this committee. I don't see anybody in the chat. Madam Clerk, do we have any emails?
No, we have not received any emails.
Okay, if there's anyone on the phone, you can just hop on here and introduce yourself. Anyone from the public that would like to address the Public Service Committee? Okay, I'm hearing and seeing none. Madam Clerk, next item.
Adjournment.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.